Welcome. Welcome to happiness tip number 8, moving from hell to happiness. No, we can't change what's happened. It's in the past. And we can't change the seasons or shift the way the wind blows. But the one thing that we have control over is ourselves. We can change ourselves and therefore shift our future into one that's more happy. So the idea of moving from hell to happiness is very key. It's not a feeling of being stuck. And we're going from one place to a destination that's happiness. And this is really important for the brain. So as we move through from hell to happiness, I'd like to share some startling stats. Did you know that 60% of us adults have experienced some sort of abuse in their lives? 13% of children had been bullied. 362,000 Canadian children have witnessed violence in their home each and every year. And if they are under the age of 5 and have witnessed violence more than 5 times, they're 72% more likely to have learning difficulties and have poor concentration and emotional brain development issues. And it doesn't stop. As they grow into adults like us, then they're more likely to be depressed, have alcohol problems, take drugs, have heart and liver issues, pregnancy problems, high anxiety, and uncontrollable anger. They're more likely to have family, financial, and job difficulties. And then it goes on to say that they're 15% more likely to attempt suicide. It goes on and on. The other disturbing fact is that our brain doesn't actually recognize the difference between trauma and, say, if you've experienced a life-threatening illness. That is just fear, and it's in the brain the same thing. So the same neurochemicals have been released from the brain in response to either of those things. My name is Adele Anderson, and I could illuminate many more horrible statistics relating to trauma. But for today, let's consider how we can change our lives in a positive way by moving through hell and into happiness. Brain science says that the memory of an event is stored in one portion of our brain, while the emotional attachment to the event is stored in another. And both psychology and neurosciences like Neuro-Linguistics Programming can be used to neutralize or redirect the mind away from these memories that cause us pain. Back in 1979, Richard Bandler and Richard Grindler invented Neuro-Linguistics Programming. It's been around for a while. And the one I'm going to talk about is called visual kinesthetic disassociation. And it's recognized as a valid treatment for post-stress traumatic disorder. And several years later, a fellow by the name of Steve Andreas created an NLP treatment called removing anxiety. So now that you're aware of some terrible stats, you can also consider that there's some great solutions. No, we cannot change your personal history. And let's face it, you are who you are, all the brilliance and the great things that you've done because of the situations, the adversity, and the resilience that you've shown. So there are those things that we can be grateful about. But for the purpose of healing, we can rewrite your personal history and not just live with it. Because there's dangers in that. Remaining in a state of emotional trauma or living with PSTD results in a form of brain damage. People that suffer from PSTD continually suffer from recurrent invasive thoughts, flashbacks, nightmares, high anxiety, hypervigilance, decreased memory and concentration. It's all bad stuff. And it's because we have too much adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine in our systems. These are neurochemicals that are released from our brain in relationship to stress. And when we have chronic stress, like we've lived with trauma for our whole lives, we have an excessive amount of this in our system. So let's be clear. Removing emotional trauma doesn't mean that we condone what's happened. Violence is a non-negotiable, but it doesn't have to affect our lives today and keep us sidetracked from the joy that we really want from life. So let's talk about removing the trauma. Neuroscience says that our brains are very malleable, and processes like Neuro-Linguistics Programming are proven to rapidly remove anxiety and strong emotional attachments to events. Because you were traumatized, you probably stayed away from situations that brought these feelings back into your body. It could be anything. If you felt anxious in a job interview, or speaking in public, or even going into a crowd, these feelings are coming up from an emotional trauma that you've experienced in your past, and they're keeping you from maybe getting the job that you want, or experiencing the joy of maybe your own wedding. It can be anything. So as you begin to encounter and explore the reasons behind these feelings that arise in certain situations, you can start to develop a degree of comfort, yet caution, so that you can become comfortable with them. And then you could use a process like NLP, which I'm about to share with you, which is called removing fears, phobias, and anxiety. This technique is called a double disassociation. And what I mean by that is I'm going to give you an image that you can imagine yourself entering a movie theater. And as you sit in the seat that you've chosen within the movie theater, imagine that the theater is there just for you, that you feel safe and secure where you are. And then I'm going to have you imagine a black and white snapshot of yourself up on the screen. This is a picture of your younger self prior to you ever experiencing trauma. So you could be quite young. So just look at yourself in this black and white photo that's sitting on the movie screen. And then, because you can, I'd like you to imagine yourself rising up out of your body and moving into the projection booth behind you. Within the projection booth, there's a comfortable chair, and you can notice that there's all the dials. So you can make the picture bigger or smaller, or you can focus the picture, or you can make it grainy. You can change the color and the intensity. The volume can be either turned up or turned down. You notice that you can speed the film up, you can stop the film, and you can reverse the film. So you're in charge. So now, if you're ready, I would like you to imagine that there is a film, a black and white film that's been created just for you. And this is a film that exists in your memory, and it's a film of your younger self prior to a traumatic event happening. And when you're ready, you can start the film. If you're feeling any anxiety rise up in your body, I'd like you to adjust the controls to make the picture smaller. Maybe make it unfocused slightly and turn the volume down. And when you feel comfortable, you can start the movie. You might notice certain things that you'd never noticed before, things that occurred before the traumatic event, things that were a lead up to this traumatic event. And then you move through watching yourself down in the movie theater in that seat, watching yourself on the screen. So you don't watch the screen directly, you watch yourself, your body sitting in the movie theater, and that body is watching a black and white film of your younger self up on the screen. So you can move through the event, and you can stop it, you can restart it, you can rewind it if you want to notice or understand something more clearly. You can turn the volume up or down. But as you move through, you'll notice your younger self comes through the traumatic event. And when you get to a place in the film where that younger self is safe and is in a relatively normal situation, I would like you to freeze that frame on the movie. Take a deep breath. And when you're ready, I would like you to rise up out of the projection booth and fly back into your body that's sitting in the movie theater watching the screen. Get comfortable in there. If you have to shake your shoulders, wiggle your toes, you're back in your body. And now you're looking at your younger self on the screen. You've gone through the trauma and you're in a relatively safe place. And now once again, you're going to rise up out of your body and move into the body of your younger self up on the movie screen in black and white. Take a deep breath. Feel what it feels like to be in this younger body. And then we're going to play the movie in reverse really fast. Within 2 seconds, I want you to imagine your younger self moving backward in time through the traumatic event and into the time before the trauma ever started. And stop. Give your younger self a hug. And let's do it again. You've risen up out of your body into the picture post younger child, post-trauma. You're in the post-trauma body. And now really, really fast, 2 seconds, you're going to reverse the film all the way through, quickly, back to the younger self. Good. Very good. See how that feels for you. You can do this exercise several times, and I'm going to give you a second one that you can do that will help you detach from this emotional trauma that you have inside your body. So this one is called, it's the Andreas one, the removing anxiety. So I'd like you to find a comfortable seat again. And you are sitting comfortably and you're imagining this feeling of trauma within your body. And you want to locate where that feeling sits inside your body. So maybe it might be in your gut, or maybe it's in your chest, maybe it's in your throat. Feel where you feel it, and then close your eyes and get a good look at it. See what shape it is, what size it is, what color it is. And then I want you to notice a little bit more about it. I want you to notice if the edges are really clear or if they're fuzzy. And I want you to notice if there's movement. Quite often there's a rotation to it. So notice if it's rotating clockwise or counterclockwise. Is it spinning? And where is it moving to? For example, if it starts in your gut, does it move up to your chest and then out to the right side of your body? They usually move. If you've never thought about this, maybe you haven't noticed it before. So just take a moment and notice what happens with this shape, color, size trauma within your body. And if you can't notice which way it's going or which way it's spinning, then test it. Test it spinning clockwise. Does it feel normal? Test it spinning counterclockwise. One of them will feel normal. Also test which direction it's going. If it's going up through the top of your head, if it's going out through the right, out through the left, or down through the floor. So just test those. One of them is going to feel so normal. And when you're ready, what we're going to do is we're going to change the pattern in your brain. We're going to change the shape, the color, and the size of this feeling within your body. And we're going to reverse the rotation and the direction that it's going. So for example, if I had a golf ball sized piece of trauma that sits just below my rib cage in the center of my gut, and it spins and it's gray and it has rough sort of edges that diffuse, gray in color, it's quite heavy, it's solid, and it's rotating to the right, and it goes up and out through the right side of my chest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it into a big blue heart. You know those little hearts that go across your Facebook page? I love them. So I'm going to change it to a blue little heart that goes just like those little Facebook love you hearts. And I'm going to have it spin to the left and go out through my left shoulder. And I'm going to do it really, really fast. So I'm going to close my eyes. So I invite you to join me. Close your eyes and you think of your own pattern that works for you. For me, it's going to be those little kissy hearts, and it's going to rotate to the left, and it's going to go out my left shoulder. So here I go. I see the golf ball size gray orb with rough edges, and it's spinning to the right, and it's going out my right shoulder. And I'm going to poof. I'm going to change it into a little blue heart, and those little huggy kisses are going to rotate to the left and spin out my left shoulder. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to switch it into a little blue heart, little kissy hearts, that thousands of them, little sparkly hearts going out my left shoulder, spinning to the left. I'm going to keep repeating that until I smile, which makes me smile. So, very cool. So this exercise, even though it seems really strange, it actually really works. And I encourage you to do it several times today and maybe tomorrow, and then test yourself and see how you feel in similar situations that used to make you feel anxious. Clinical evidence actually states that there's a permanent removal of these intrusive, deep, emotional, dark anxiety in 75 to 80% of clients. So it's phenomenal. And I'd encourage you to try it. So let's face it, having gone through trauma has taken courage. So you have courage, and it also takes a period of recovery, because abused people or people that have been living with high stress are adrenal fatigued. It actually causes the brain to have a little bit of brain damage. The brain has been in high alert for so long that it thinks it's in constant danger. So imagine being chased by a saber-toothed tiger morning, noon, and night. Imagine how exhausting that is and how exhausted you feel. But the other thing about being in high adrenaline is your system starts to recognize a pattern of behavior, and then it seeks it out, because if it's used to high adrenaline, it's been normalized. And so your behavior may be driven in a way that you're seeking danger in order to get this adrenaline rush. You know those people that fly through the air and little bat things? That would scare the living out of me. So these people maybe have an adrenaline need. Not saying that, but it's a possibility. And not all stress is bad. So maybe they're just whatever it is. You know, they're hanging from the high sky rises and, taking selfies. It's crazy stuff. Short-term stress helps us adapt. It helps us move away from whatever it is that's causing us stress. But when we have chronic stress, we tend to normalize it. And it also comes, so we don't recognize it anymore. So it comes with a whole bunch of bad health stuff. Leading indicator for heart disease, kills more men and women in North America than any other cause. It's so normalized that people don't recognize that they're in danger. They're in the stage 3 of stress, and they die. They don't recognize that they're in stage 3 because people don't recognize when they move between stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. They just do, and then it's fatal. So think of chronic stress like an old jacket. Say you had a jacket that was your favorite when you were a teenager, and it's been your favorite for however old you are, and you've worn it every single day of your life. So imagine what that jacket looks like now. We see homeless people. We know what that looks like. The jacket is stained and tattered and torn and thread-borne and faded, and the zipper doesn't work. That's what stress does to your body. Just like the wear and tear on a jacket, stress is wear and tear on your body.